Hi everybody, this is Giles D. Middleton, and today I'm going to show you how you can get your objects from Blender into Unity really easily. Now this is great if you've just started with Unity or Blender, or you've been struggling to get a simple object imported and you don't know how to do it the easiest way. I'm going to show you. Hope you enjoy. I'm going to show you how to get this cube from Blender into Unity and how to map it with texture mapping and UV mapping and all that stuff. As you can see, this is a two textured model. It's got biohazard symbols, a clump of four, and then a grid pattern, clump of four, but not on all faces. So we've got two biohazard faces and we've got four grid faces. As you can see, we've got some patterns in here, these materials, and some textures. And we've got our object. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the object. I'm going to delete the materials and prove that this information can come straight from Blender. You don't have to do lots of material hacking to get it to work. The one thing you do need are your textures to be in the textures folder. That really helps Unity work out what's going on for you. So just to prove that this thing does import, I'm going to just press save on this model. And Unity goes, woohoo, hello. And it's created some materials and it's created the model. Bingo. So how did that all work? Well, let's just prove that I didn't just do some magic and we're going to create this from scratch. So I'm going to get rid of those materials, keep the textures. We're going to use those in a bit, and we've not got anything in here. So let's go to Blender and let's create a new project. The first thing I'm going to do is get some lights in the scene, because we're going to start looking at the texture mode, and you can see I've got black stuff going on. So I'm going to just add some more lights around the scene so I can see and show you what's going on. So I'm going to get to the lamp, and we should have some properties of the lamp, and I want to change the energy level. I'm then going to duplicate the lamp. Probably should turn on screencast keys for you to follow along. So you see in the bottom left, you'll see what I'm pressing. Now I'm going to move that lamp over there. You see how that face has gone darker or lighter. I'll then rotate around, see where else I need to do that. So let's copy and paste again. Move that there. Yeah, that's lovely. And we've got another one. Let's copy and paste there. Yeah. And we've got a black bottom. Never mind, that's a shame. Let's just copy and paste another one and drag it down so it should give us some light. Drag it a bit further. There we go. So I've got my cube. Now if you remember on the original object we had two faces that were called biohazard and the rest were grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and create a material. And there's already one by default, so let's call that grid, because the majority of the surface was the grid. And we're going to unselect, using face view, two of those faces. And then we're going to assign grid to those faces. So I'm going to press it a few times, make sure it happened. You only need to press it once, but I didn't know if I pressed it once. So then we're going to get a texture. And it's given us text, howdy text. And I'm going to call that grid. And we're going to say you are a image or a movie. Now magic sounds amazing, I don't know what that is, but image or a movie is what we're going to choose. And we're going to open the image. Now I'm going to open the same image that's in the assets folder, in the textures folder. You don't actually have to do that. You can choose it from any location. As long as your end textures are in the textures folder, it just works off the name. Top tip. So let's choose the grid, which I know is the first one. That's awesome. And now let's go back to the material view and deselect that. We're going to select the two shapes, which are two faces that we're going to use for the biohazard. We're going to add a new texture here, material, sorry, it's a new material. And we're going to call that biohazard. and we're going to click Assign. Now you can prove which ones are which by deselecting everything and going Select. And you can see that's not selected. If I go to Grid and then deselect, then Biohazard and Select, you can see it's selected those two faces. Fantastic. So we know we've got the right faces, and if you want to double check, look up here. You'll see number of faces selected. Deselect. Select. Awesome. So these textures are in here. I have played with the mapping down here. It doesn't seem to work very well. You may get results, you may think you get results, but if you can't see it in this mode here, you're generally not going to get results in Unity. So as long as we can see it in here in texture mode, we should be able to see it in Unity. So let's start off by getting the grid mapped out into UV space. Now what is UV space? UV space is simply another name for X and Y of a texture. We don't use X and Y when we talk about this in 3D because X, Y is already the 3D coordinate space, X, Y, Z, or Z if you're American. And in the UV map, X and Y is U and V. I don't really know if it's Y and X, I'm sure it's X and Y, but you never know with some of this stuff. So we're just going to go to the UV editing page, and we're going to try and see what unwrapping we can do. But first I'm going to say, well, which image do I want to unwrap it onto? And it's going to be this diffuse, diffuse pattern of the grid. So I'm going to say unwrap, and you get something crazy. I mean, what's that? Never in a month of Sundays would that work. So let's try something else. You can do a smart UV project. Well, that's great. That would actually work for this texture. I just want repeating quads, but I'd need to scale that by 4 so I could get 4 in each square. I could try cube projection. That gives me some interesting results there. That could still work. All I need is boxes basically for this. It's not like I've got an edge that I need to keep, or it's not the front of a bottle where I need loads of polygons to be in one specific place to map to my texture. This is the really most basic example. So I'm going to go back for that Smart UV project. And then I'm going to click in here, and you can use grab and scale and select all and move these points around. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to scale by 4. So I want 4 of those in each one. And just to show you actually what's going on, oh my god, we've got textures. Oh my god, amazeballs, that's amazing. So if I go back in here and scale back down to 0.5, you can see that was the original kind of view. I can scale up to 2 and I get that. So actually 0.5 wasn't the original view. 0.5 again was the original view, and you got these weird quadrangles of a quarter of the original. So scale 4. That's what we want. Awesome, and we've got 2 faces that are not being used. Unbelievably good. This is going so well compared to the 6 other takes I did. So we go back to this cube and we want to go, right, I want to select those. Oh, I've got to deselect everything. So I've pressed A to select, unselect all, and select again. So I've only got these 2 faces showing. If I go to textures though, I'll notice, thank you Blender for scrolling up badly, that I've not got a texture here, so I need to do a new texture. Biohazard. And I'm going to add this texture. I used to be in a gaming club called Biohazard. We used to race Forza all the time. We had a massive league. It was brilliant. That's a different topic. So we're going to go and add this image or movie. Let's open up our beautiful textures folder. Boom. We've got our Biohazard. So yet again, we're going to go over to the UV editing view, and we're going to switch over to see that, and then we're going to unwrap these 2. And let's just try smart again. That's not what we want. It's given us 2 tall things. Let's just try normal unwrap. Well, we can work with that. It's given us half there, but I can scale that by 4 again, I have to go into that scale by 4. That's kind of okay, but actually I want to change the coordinates so that we've got the picture in one of the corners. It didn't matter which corner, just one of the corners. And I know the image size was 1024 by 1024. I could have tried different unwrapping methods to get it right first time. It's all trial and error. Don't think that there's a particular science to this. Sometimes these other options are really handy, like you can project from view. I'll show you what that looks like. So it's kind of taken my view of the image and projected it. Sometimes that's exactly what you want. Maybe you just tweak a few of these handles. You can grab them around and select vertices and things like that. But I'm going to stick with that original. And then I'm just going to go into Unity and show you that it's not there currently. And I'm going to press save. I'm going to save it to this folder here. Go back to Unity, watch the magic happen, grab my image, my object, and bish bash bosh. There we are. We have a cube. All the materials assigned, all the faces assigned. Lovely. Job is done. Now I have another tip for you, which is when you're in this Unity Blender editor, you may notice that there are UV maps. So in the properties here, you can see UV maps, and you could be tempted to create a UV map per texture so that you've got this unique relationship between a UV map and its texture and the coordinates you're using. I did it that way to start off with, and Unity did not like it. It didn't import some of the maps, and then I had to tick a little button called swap textures in the import settings to get it to work. So I recommend just keeping one UV map defined and just switching the images we did earlier in here. Just switching over these images when you're selecting your maps. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. I hope that was useful, and happy modeling, happy blending, and create some great games. See you around. Bye.